Right, so I will be attacking each one of you on your points. Don't take it personally, of course. Right, so I'll start with Sumit. Sumit, quote unquote, said, just because, have you ever seen, pork? Pork is not allowed in Bangladesh, you're talking about cow slaughter in India. So just because pork is not allowed in Bangladesh doesn't mean it justifies cow slaughter. If I could be so bold as to quote every Indian mother ever, will you jump into a well if your friend does? Arjun talks about there is a difference between the ruling party and the government establishment. Unfortunately, again, I'll have to quote the Sarbomai case, which all my colleagues have been quoting, which I also mentioned in my speech. Unfortunately, some people haven't heard it. So it very specifically says politics and religion cannot be mixed. Any state government which pursues non-secular on policies or non-secular course of action acts contrary to the constitutional mandate and renders itself amenable to action under Article 356. Shubhangi talks about, in a very nice emotional opening statement, a mosque in Kerala opened its doors to all for namaz. But on average, in India, there are 54 communal incidences happening per month. Right, and secular as a word was added in 1994, which is what Shubhangi pointed out as well. Meanwhile, followers of majoritarianism in India seem to be mocking it, calling it secular all over the internet. Perhaps that is Arjun's idea of free speech under Article 19. Someone, if I might add, from the BJP or RSS party, some major leader once said, we can identify the anti-national elements by their way of dressing. About the Parsis and Jews, which were mentioned by Sumit, what about the Babri Masjid or the 1983 anti-national elements? Sorry, 1983 situation mentioned by Anuj. You can't be talking about only some specific communities. Again, that's very, very non-secular of you, or non-secular of you. And again, Anika Gomez seems to be talking about the definition of Western secularism. Again, SRI Bomber case, there is separation of state and religion. Politics and religion cannot be mixed. And I'm also sure that the Supreme Court, when ruling it, knew a little about India's history and diversity. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you.
What I feel honestly is when Siddhi was talking about the whole concept of food being banned, I like to ask this question. Forget going to Bangladesh, but you walk into any one of the minorities, a particular community which is being referred to, and ask them, do they eat pork? And if you try to offer them pork, they would kindly decline, and if you force upon them, they would definitely get angry at you because you're hurting their religious sentiments. And what I mean by this is, when you're talking about certain kinds of food being banned because it hurts a particular community's sentiments, it is also checked out with giving that particular community an opportunity to grow up. To talk about Vedant's argument, I mean, the fact checkers might be more, specific with the numbers, but as far as I remember, and I don't want to touch upon the statistical value, but in a report which I clearly read regarding the educational status of people in India, one particular community which Vedant particularly referred to was suffering and was given more, scholarships. Yes, it was given more scholarships, but here's the reason why. Because their community was lacking in terms of educational quality. And that's the reason why scholarships was awarded to members of the particular community, and not because they belong to a particular community. It was for the upliftment of the entire community, and not because of, just appeasing that particular people. And because we need to remember that these communities are like separate, or I won't say separate entities, but individual parts of our country. And for a country, or say a machine to function, all the parts need to function cordially and cohesively. So for that to happen, all parts need to function good and to be functionable in perfect state. And to do that, that is the reason why we gave this thing. And as far as, Prime Minister Modi visiting, the Ram Mandir, inauguration, see, we need to remember something that, you cannot equate the leader to the country as such. Like, see, a leader may come and go, and India is a democratic country, and every 5 years, a leader comes in. So probably what Modi did today, the leader who might come tomorrow may not do that. So it is totally up to personal preferences. And if I should say, to put it in a more better fashion, the Prime Minister, as a citizen, has the right to practice religion just like we do. And we all are entitled to the same right. And we all have our individual beliefs. And as a secular country, India has no right to hamper the individual beliefs of a person, same as how an individual can influence how the country works. Thank you.